Path of Exile, Boneshatter build, 20 million DPS, flat, tanky, Boneshatter. Let's not waste time, let's go. So, this is Marauder Juggernaut, and this is how your build, or better to say the skill tree, is supposed to look like once you're done, okay, for tier 17 maps. But why it's impossible to share this one on Path of Building? Because it's misleading. You're gonna switch this build non-stop until you reach this point. So, let's see what's the spine of the build. This would be build spine, or better to say, how you gonna level up from level 1 all the way up to level 70. 69 points, that's like level 55, 60, it doesn't even matter. The first 70 points in the game. So we start from here, we go down, reach Warrior's Blood. After that, we go up to the Heart of the Warrior, we go up to the Born to Fight, we go up to the Butchery. Then we go down to Versatility. Then now, from the Warrior's Blood, we push towards the Diamond Skin, we pass through here, we go towards the Juggernaut. After we are done with the north side of the skill tree, now the spine goes all the way down to Precise Technique. So this is what you need to do in order. Everything that's basically north, you take it. You start from the Warrior's Blood, down, you take Elemental Resists, then you go here, you take Martial Experience, then you continue going down to the Master of the Arena, to the Bravery, to the Art of the Gladiator, then we go down, then you're gonna take Revelry over here, then we're gonna go up, take Precise Technique. Once this segment is done, we're gonna go down south, we're gonna take Eagle Eye, and we're gonna take Accuracy Mastery on the Eagle Eye over here. Then we're gonna go down south, we continue here, we take Soul of Steel, we take Harvester of Foes, because we're gonna use X from this moment non-stop. Then we go down south, we take Tribal Fury, and we take Champion of the Cause. So these would be the first 69 points. As you can tell, that build is drastically different now when you level up than compared to the one you see as the final build. And this is why it is not on Path of Building. Now what we're gonna do? Once we get all of this, we wanna combine this part with this part down here. So we're gonna go up, 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 and we combine with this. When we combine with Juggernaut, then we're gonna delete all of this and get those extra points so we can go up here and straight into Slaughter. So this is how it's gonna look like with 73 skill points. Once we do all of that, then we're gonna take Inexorable to 45. After that, your stats should be 75 resists all, resist fire, lightning, cold, chaos, and then it's time to raise maximum resists. Very simple, by taking Prismatic Skin. Now we're already on 78 points. After we do the Prismatic Skin, because you won't have money for jewels and so on, okay, then we're gonna take Corrupted Blood Cannot Be Inflicted on You. Down here, we're gonna take Non-Val Strikes, target additional enemy. After we're done with 80 points, now it's time to go here, straight to the Wrecking Ball. After the Wrecking Ball, we're gonna go to the Bastion Breaker, and we're gonna continue here and Master DX, or better to say, Hatchet Master. This is when you have 93 points. In other words, this should be somewhere around level 80. So once we're on level 80, it's time for life, or better to say, we're gonna go and take life. Where can you take life, Master? One of the options would be Bloodless, but I do not recommend. What I recommend is going to this one, Golem's Blood, because of regenerate life as well as extra life. After you take Golem's Blood, we're gonna pick Life Mastery, and we go with 15% increased maximum life if your armor doesn't have any life modifiers, because we will use body armor without life modifier. What is the biggest trick? If you play with Iron Reflexes, that means that most of your gear is with armor and evasion rating. Okay, so if most of your gear covers armor and evasion, this is the moment where you're gonna take Iron Reflexes in the game. If you have flat armor, helmet, flat armor, body armor, flat armor, gloves, then you don't need Iron Reflexes. What is my recommendation? Once you reach tier 16, this is the time to acquire gear with armor and evasion so you can go into Iron Reflexes. Till that point, do not take Iron Reflexes. Now, why is this skill tree very good also? It's very good because you can always, if you lack resists, now from over here, you can always opt in for Cloth and Chain or some additional resists. So that depends out of your items, but whether you have max out resists or not. This can help a lot, but it's optional. The next part would be jewels. If you wanna remove Corrupted Blood now, you can opt in for jewels and remove the Protection Mastery over here. You got Close Jewel over here, and you got a very close jewel over here. That's already 100 points now. In case of my build, I'm not using Corrupted Blood jewels at all because I'm using a flask that gives Corrupted Blood resist, or better to say immunity. But then again, I'm using Mage Blood. Now, what are the items that you should use on Boneshatter? This is the build that can easily do tier 16 maps with around 1 divine. So from 120 chaos to let's say 200 chaos is needed for tier 16 maps. And this is one of the cheapest builds. That's a great pro of the build. But what's the con? It's one of the most expensive builds for tier 17 and for river bosses. Easily 4 meters and above. So of course when you start, you won't have Mage Blood. You're gonna use classic belts like Stygian and so on. You can also add Abyssal Eye with Corrupted Blood as well. Now it's your choice. You can have Corrupted Blood on a skill tree, on a jewel, or on Abyssal if you plan to play with Stygian Wise. The most important thing is that you max out all resists, and then from that point you will see what to do on a skill tree and what you actually need, whether you can opt in for damage or you can opt in for resists or life. As far as gear goes, the only thing and the only weapon that you'll ever need is a Despot X and no other weapon, just as high as you can get physical damage Despot X. That's the entire build. The second most important thing, your rings should have non-channeling skills minus number to total mana cost, so all of your skills will cost less. It applies for both rings. That's like mandatory. There is no playing Boneshatter without it. And the third most important thing is insane armor with maximum physical damage reduction, because Boneshatter hurts himself when he swings. The higher the armor is, the more pain you can withstand, and you can kill enemies with full stacks of Boneshatter. That's the three most important things for the build. You need to pay attention on armor, on all resists, Despot X, non-channeling skills, cost minus specific number to cast spells. Mega late game, the most important stat would be spell suppression, 97. The ideal would be from 90 to 100 with above 50% flat suppressed spell damage. This is for tier 17. You do not enter tier 17 maps if this is not 90 and 50. Now back to the skill tree. We said we got 100 points now. Now it's time to take something away and to get something back. The first and the very important thing that you'll actually need is Watcher's Eye Prismatic Jewel. Now there is a trick with it. It comes with a lot of different stats. You want precision and pride. Whether it's gonna raise attack speed, attack damage, or impale, it really doesn't matter. You want two stats, something cheap from like 2 divines or so, and place it into a socket. Once and if you acquire the one that gives chance to impale, then you don't opt in for Impale Mastery. Or better to say, you don't opt in for this part. If you find a Watcher's Eye that doesn't give chance to impale, until you find one, okay, until you have money, you're gonna need to do this on a skill tree to have the actual impale. Once you acquire impale on Watcher's Eye, you just remove points. One of the things that will raise your damage drastically would be this part of the skill tree over here, where you're gonna opt in for Ironwood into Panopticon, where you're gonna deal more damage around your totems. This is extremely important part. The next thing, once you need life, you can opt in for Bloodless over here, and we got life over here with Thick Skin. So this is how your build is supposed to look like around 110 points, around level 90. Now we can save a lot of points, but that all depends what items you have. If you have items, because you need your accuracy because of the precise technique, you need your accuracy to surpass your maximum life, so you're gonna need to calculate. If you have 4000 accuracy and 4100 life, precise technique won't work. But if you have 4500 accuracy and 4100 life, then precise technique will work. So once you have accuracy high enough, and that strictly depends whether your items have accuracy or not. So once you acquire some accuracy on your gear, this is the time where you're gonna remove completely the accuracy mastery and opt in for other nodes, because you don't need it anymore. And now we got the final parts of the build, or better to say, a cluster jewel and impossible escape. It's gonna buy you a lot of additional points, where you're gonna pop kinetic impacts, prismatic skin, and soul of steel. Once you acquire impossible escape, it's around 30 divines or so, but it saves a lot of points. And the next one is a cluster. There are multiple clusters that we can use. I use this one with Battle Hardened, Force Multiplier, and Master the Fundamentals, or better to say, with increased physical damage, increased armor and evasion, cause I use a lot of armor and evasion, with Master the Fundamentals, additional elemental damage reduction, all resists, and with chance to deal double damage, as well as 2 additional jewels to even raise my damage further. They're exactly the same, by the way, over here, as you can see. What you can also take a cluster jewel that looks like this, with Feed the Fury, Martial Prowess, and Run Through. Or you can opt in for one of the Megalomaniacs, as long as you got these as edit passives, these 3. You can pause and check out what they do. That all depends what you need on the build. No one's gonna have the same build on a Boneshatter. It really depends a lot on items, and that's why it's very stupid to put the build like this, battle build, because everyone's gonna play it differently. I'm telling you all the options that you have while you play to switch mix. Also, once you acquire Mageblood, your entire build changes completely, okay? Until that point, you're gonna play with Stygian. Speaking about Mageblood, once you acquire the Mageblood, the final part of the build comes, or better to say, Onslaught Boneshatter. Why I say Onslaught? Because I increase the effectiveness of Onslaught with Mageblood and with passives, or better to say, with Graceful Assault now, to 165%, which is huge, but that's the final part of the build. Masteries and what we take from Masteries. Over here, we're gonna take 40% increase effect of Onslaught, only when we have Mageblood. Without Mageblood, you do not need it. And we're gonna take attacks with axes or swords will grant a range on hit. Over here, we're gonna take max soul resists. If equip helmet, body armor, gloves and boots all have armor. Over here, we're gonna take 40% increased damage with hits against rares and uniques. Over here, we're gonna take non-val strike skills, will target additional enemy. Over here, we're gonna take Reservation Mastery, 8% increased damage for each of your auras. We're gonna pass through all skill gems very soon. And of course, you're gonna take Bannerman as well at the mega late game. By removing Dexterity here, Mana and Aura, and Revelry, now you can opt in for Reservation Efficiency, Bannerman into 8% increased damage. Also, what's very good to take if you have problems with sustain would be +1 to all maximum elemental resists. That one is also extremely valid. Your choice what you wanna do. Over here, we take 10% flat maximum physical damage. And over here, we're gonna take, again, 40% increase effect of Onslaught only if you have Mageblood. And only if you took Graceful Assault. This is like very expensive to acquire, 3 to 4 meters. Of course, once all of your gear has armor and evasion combined, you need to take Iron Reflexes and raise your defenses even further. As far as life mastery goes, I already said, mandatory, 15% increase maximum life if your armor doesn't have life modifiers. So what you should have on your armor, speaking about it, from start to finish, doesn't matter what level you are, you should always try to aim for suppress spell damage and physical resist with as high armor and evasion rating as possible. So 3 stats are the most important one. Suppress, as high armor as you can, as high evasion as you can, flat additional physical damage reduction. End of story. That's your armor. Stats, modifiers that you want on your armor. Amulet options. For damage, we can always use Ashes of the Stars. If you have problems with sustain, then you're gonna play with Eternal Damnation. Your choice which one you wanna use, whether you wanna be tankier with Eternal Damnation or you wanna deal more damage with Ashes of the Stars. Those are the 2 options for amulets. For example, once you start in the early game, this was the amulet that I was using. always and always, as far as allocation goes, or better to say, as far as Cassia upgrade goes, you want Inveterate. Inveterate is here for suppress spell damage, and that's the anointment that you wanna put on every single amulet that you're gonna use. Nothing else but that. As far as Ascendancy goes for the Juggernaut, these are what we want. We want Undeniable, we want Unstoppable, we want Unbreakable, and we want Untiring. And nothing else applies to this build. This is the only valid thing that you can take. Intelligence and Dexterity is very hard to acquire on this build, so look for Intelligence and Dexterity on your amulet and on your rings. As far as strength goes, you'll have plenty of strength as a Marauder. So I told you what to do in order. Now I'm gonna hover over everything so you don't miss out on something. On the Watcher's Eye, on the big cluster, on all of my gems, and on all upgrades with Mastery. Pause when you need to. Again, this is how your skill tree should look like. What do we do with Pantheon? The only important thing is Soul of Solaris maxed out, and the other one, Soul of Shakari, maxed out. You don't need anything else. Do not opt in for the others. You really don't need any single upgrade. These are the only two ones that you actually need to play this build. Now we're gonna pass out through stats. You can pause where you want to. These would be the stats for the build. Flat stats, of course, they're way much higher once you enter the map. Now we're gonna pass through gear. Again, any Despot X valid. As long as you stick with as high physical damage as possible, you're good to go. Rings, you want non-channeling and you want accuracy, as well as life and some of the resists. This is how my rings look like for the final version of the build. Amulet, I said Ashes, and the other one for elemental resists. Helmet, flat resists and suppression. Armor, flat physical damage reduction, suppression, as high armor and evasion as possible. Gloves, anything that's gonna enhance your damage output, attack speed, suppression, accuracy, life. That's the stats that you want. Until you acquire Mageblood, you have an option for the Stygian. Pile up stats on Stygian so you max out defenses and all resists. Boots, same applies for boots. Life, add those resists, and of course some movement speed. The final part would be skill gems and what we use from skill gems. Inside your X you're gonna put Warlord's Mark and it's gonna be level 2. You do not go higher than that. You're gonna put Cast when damage taken support on level 7 and you do not go higher than that. You're gonna put Ancestral Cry, you're gonna put Vulnerability level 5 and you do not go higher than that. You're gonna put Molten Shell level 12 and you do not go higher than that. And you're gonna put Call to Arms and max it out. For the helmet, we want Blood Rage, we want Determination, we want Dread Banner, and we want Pride. For body armor, we want Boneshatter as the main damage dealing skill as high as possible. We want Awakened Brutality. Before you can acquire Awakened, you're gonna use regular Brutality support. Then we want Awakened melee physical damage support. Until you acquire Awakened, you're gonna use flat melee physical damage support. We want Fortify support, we want Ruthless support, and we want Close Combat support. This is what you need for the Boneshatter. As far as gloves go, you're gonna use Ancestral Protector for the totems, you're gonna use Ancestral Wardship, you're gonna use multiple totem support, and you're gonna use main support all maxed out. As far as boots go, you're gonna use Arrogance support, you're gonna use Precision, you're you're gonna use Berserk, and you're gonna use Limb Slam for movement. Basically, these should be the ones that you trigger before you enter the map. Dread Banner, Determination, Precision, Pride, and Call to Arms. Your Boneshatter only costs 5 mana, and you got 46 with huge life and mana leech, and will always be able to fight and jump around the map like you don't need any mana at all right now. Berserk, once your rage bar is full, will make you 3 times more powerful. Leap is great for movement. Once you fight bosses or tougher mobs, you can always cast Ancestral Protector and Ancestral Wardship. And of course, do not forget to pop Blood Rage non-stop for additional damage during the map. Auto-triggering would be your Ancestral Cry, and once you get hit, Warlord's Mark, Vulnerability, and Molten Shell. And this is why they remained on low levels, so they can trigger so that you can have enough mana for them to trigger. Again, and I gotta stress this out, it is impossible to create part of building for this because everything will change as you play from level 1 to max level, okay? Skill tree, how you switch nodes, what you take away, what you gain, depends a lot out of items, depends out of Amulet, depends out of Despot X, depends out of the belt, depends out of rings, depends out of accuracy, out of attack speed, what you need at what time. The most important thing is for you is to raise armor, raise physical damage reduction, mitigate mana cost, and of course raise suppression. If you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. I thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.